So, I just got back from the store, from the outside world, in the daytime. And this is a very odd thing for me because uh, this is actually the first time I have gone outside during the daytime in over 6 months. Yes, that is correct. You heard me correctly. I have not done that literally since my wife was here, and honestly, I think it could have gone a lot worse. Nothing really happened. I was just extremely nervous and uncomfortable the whole time, but like kind of blocking it out just to get what I had to do done. And I was a little physically awkward, not with the cashier or on my way up to the, you know, the register or anything like that, but just inside of the store itself, because I was deliberately navigating in a way that made it to where I had to avoid people as much as possible. Like I kept turning corners and going down aisles that I didn't need to go down just so I could avoid people. And you know, it's interesting. The last time I had really went to the store, it was really late at night, which is a habit that I have. I tend to only go to the grocery store when it's so late at night that they're about to close, and I will likely be the only person in there, if not, you know, one of the only at least. And that's sort of the strategy that I go through, just to feel as calm as possible, as tranquil as possible, not, you know, really worry about anything. It's like there's this discomfort that I feel when I'm around other people that I just can't stand. And you know, there's times when it's gone in remission, and there have also been times when it's definitely been a prominent aspect of my life, but I just pushed through it anyway. I just didn't let it control my life. I did whatever I wanted to do in spite of it. But the thing as of late has been the fact that I haven't really wanted to go outside. I haven't, you know, really needed to go outside for anything. I needed to in this case because I literally needed groceries at the time that I did, but otherwise, you know, I'm usually able to wait to go to the store until there's just nobody in there, and then I go, you know, to get all my stuff done. And today was not a day like that. I had to go, and so I did what I had to do, but it's weird, you know. It's weird experiencing this because um, it's like I'll be able to sit there and reminisce on a time when my life was a little bit different. You know, when I still had these same kinds of feelings, but I could just push it back, and I could push it back far enough to be able to have lots of confident conversations with just strangers in bus terminals, or when I was in between somewhere on my way to, you know, go do something else. I just talked to all sorts of people, and you know, it wasn't as if my problem disappeared. It was more like it was just in remission. That's how I like to describe it, because, you know, this problem with anxiety and distancing myself from others and going through long periods of isolation, you know, it's something I've dealt with my entire life, but there seemed to have been periods of time when I was really willing to go outside a lot, really willing to interact with a lot of strangers and things. You know, especially back when I used to be non-sober and everything, which now feels like an eternity ago. It feels like it was so long ago, you know. But I think that was something that sort of greased my gears a little bit to be able to make that stuff work. But, you know, during that era of my life, even when I wasn't doing that stuff, I was still a lot more social just with strangers. But again, it's like that feels so long ago, and like so long ago. And I've just been so long since then reflecting on every single embarrassing or annoying thing I've ever done, or every time I ever felt personally offended or affronted by somebody. And, you know, it's like those memories just come back again and again and again when I least expect it, like when I'm not even trying to remember those things. And it'll be stuff from 2 years ago, 10 years ago, 5 years ago, a couple months ago. It doesn't matter. It's all sorts of things from my past, it just resurfaces in this really vivid way, and I hate that. You know, I don't like experiencing that. But I try not to anticipate the fact that that might happen when I go out, but I'm sure intuitively in the back of my mind something in there is saying that it could happen. But I try just to not think about any of that stuff. Just go do the thing, you know, just do it. But I think in practical terms, it's like there's more to it than just that. Something about the inhabiting a physical space with other people that are unfamiliar is uncomfortable for me. It feels like I could be in danger. And that's what I learned in my past. You know, I learned in my past that it was dangerous to be around other people, that it was safer to be by myself. And I got really accustomed to living like that. I found all these sorts of things that I enjoyed doing in isolation that I found very addictive to do. And you know, it didn't really feel like I was losing anything by not getting those interactions. You know, it's funny. You know, I look back on that time, and it sort of feels like I'm not even missing anything, you know. But then on another level, it's like, I know I should be having more interaction because social interaction improves your sleep, it lessens your chances of dementia and other, you know, more near-term cognitive issues, all of these things. It's part of why I really want my wife back here, you know, because if I'm talking to her every day, I'm having social interaction. I don't really have to fundamentally change anything about how I'm operating. And of course, you know, she'll kind of encourage me to go outside a little bit more because she'll want to, and that way I am actually, you know, changing something in that respect. But it's interesting because, like, I went out and I had a successful mission and it wasn't a problem. I had those lingering feelings, but it's like they still weren't anywhere near as intense as they would have been when I was younger. Like, if I did the same thing that I did today when I was like 14, all hell would have broke loose in my mind. I wouldn't have been able to handle it very well at all. And so I can see how much I've improved, even though I'm not during a period of time where my social anxiety and other problems are in remission. Like, they're very much not in remission right now, and so I'm not in a period of time where I can just run around and talk to everybody or whatever. I'm really, really indoors. So, I don't know, make of that what you will, but it's also something I'm not really actively working on right now because I enjoy my life a lot, and I'm feeling the comfort of isolation in my fortress, this fortress that is my room. So, I don't know. I just wanted to share that on a video log because I felt like maybe I would want to look at this in the future when I'm trying to remember things. Like, oh yeah, there was that time when he spent like 7 months in his room and didn't leave, and you know, now it's on the internet. Is there anything else I want to say before this runs out of memory? Because it'll probably run out of memory pretty soon. I don't know how many minutes I've been talking for, but there's not very long on this memory stick. You know, fun fact, the memory stick I'm recording this on is literally 64 megabytes. So you can, you know, you can understand what's going on here. But, no, I mean, it's weird because it's like, the only thing that I really, really enjoy about going out and meeting people is just having someone to have sex with. But it's like I already have someone like that, so like what exactly is the motivation for me to go and do that? You know, I have certain really good friends that I would want to hang out with just, you know, because of who they are. No Thank You is someone like that, but No Thank You lives on another continent, so it's not like he and I can exactly, you know, just knock on one another's door and then hang out. It doesn't really work like that. And I have, at various times, tried to find people who I could connect with on that level, you know, closer to me, and failed. And then I was just like, this is not worth all the effort. You know, I have so much more to do with my life, so much more that would be so much more fulfilling. I'm just going to do that instead.